Welcome to Cinema Grimoire. Hope you survive the experience.
Hello everyone, welcome to the very first edition of Cinema Grimoire, a brand new episode on the brand new AYCH Xtra channel. This will be AYCH's exploration of classic goth films, and I'm joined by two very special co-hosts. We have from the main channel, you know him, you love him already, it's JoJo.
It's JoJo and the Banshees over here, let's go.
And joining us as well is the newest member of the AYCH team. Please give a warm welcome once again to Ash.
Hi, everybody. I got brought back, and I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but let's do it.
If you listen to the main channel, recently we had the 6th edition of the Letterboxd game, which was Ash's first appearance on AYCH in general. And obviously, that was a very chaotic experience. So we think it'd be good to help acclimate our new team member to a more reined-in recording session. So this is what this is. Not only is this a pilot session at episode 0 for this new mini-series that we're doing, but also help acclimate our new friend to the podcast system.
I'm excited. This is going to be fun. A little different. Last one was a trial by fire, so definitely better.
I'd say because that was so wild and crazy, you started at a peak, so like everything else after that is just going to be smooth sailing.
That's fair. That's fair.
So just a general thesis for what this series will be. We made this in mind for Ash to help her become more, involved with the greater group. And so I want to think, what's something that we know Ash is known for, something they really enjoy, and that's why they're our chief goth correspondent. And so basically just discussing what constitute goth, and just sort of going through these well-known gothic films, and so it's basically classic horror films from the 90s and 80s, and a lot of vampire films, what sort of makes up this sort of oeuvre of goth. Is there a hard setting to it, or is it just more just how things feel? And so I'll turn it over to them and say what do you feel makes something a goth movie, and so where have you sort of built your experiences from?
So I'm the worst person to define goth, period. I basically just have always been on my little edgelord vibe, and kind of, I don't know, anything a little dark, a little spooky, a little weird. And it runs the gamut. It can be musicals, it can be comedies, adventure. Pretty much anything can be goth if it just has the right vibe.
And at least for me, growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, goth was always a very certain aesthetic, heavily spooky, with dark and black, and there's a well-known aesthetic that goes with it. And I think some of the movies that we have on tap for this series will sort of fall into that, like The Craft and films like that. They have a very specific aesthetic and feels to it.
Definitely. The Crow is
Definitely.
Yeah, The Crow's way up there.
And because I watched The Crow recently on my own early this year, and I loved it. It's just it's a goth power fantasy, and I can't wait to rewatch that. Just first off, because I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would, but also just sort of have a fun discussion in this sort of confines of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I guess to turn it to Joe a little bit, I guess in your experience, did you ever think oh, this is something I would be interested in, oh, I consider myself goth? I guess what would you like to get out of this series on your personal avenue of this?
I mean, I just like watching interesting, weird fucking shit. So, I mean, there's that. I mean, as far as considering myself goth, I mean, I'm a little goth kid on the inside. More emo, if you want to get technical. But I was never allowed to, do the eyeliner and stuff because Jesus. But
Jesus came to their house and just you will not be doing that, young ma'am.
Oh yeah. Jesus was like, "Come here, bitch," and just slapped the shit out of me.
Slapped the eyeliner as you cry it down your cheek.
I'm not. I just start singing MCR. Let's go. But yeah, just honestly, I just want to see some cool, weird shit. I love, like, you know, goth is kind of like a umbrella, vague term, but like, there's definitely a specific vibe that is generated from that. So, and I like that shit. So let's watch some weird fucking shit.
Some weird stuff, man. And for me personally, like, as in the last few years, I've gotten more and more like into horror and like really exploring that. Like, I found it just really like enjoyable because like horror is just an interesting like genre into itself, and it's like really deep and rich, and it has like just a very broad idea. Then like all the subgenres that come out of that, and through that, like exploring like my own quote like late stage goth. Like, you know, I'm buying like more like dark black clothes, and like, you know, I got like my little short black shorts and like my Scream shirt and like my black fingernails. Just like obviously there's a little something funny about like a 32-year-old man like accepting his goth phase, but like in like a lot of things in life, you know, you feel like you're not allowed to do that because like whatever like upbringing is kind of like bearing down on you. But also like I think because a lot of horror and a lot of goth is sort of goes hand in hand with being queer, and like this sort of that's a part of being queer. It's like learning to accept and explore this side of yourself. A lot of times happens later in life when you have like this a full understanding of who you are, and like that might be a little too deep for like a silly show like this, but like I think that comes with the dichotomy of AYCH, where you have like we can say poo poo pee pee and butt pussy and still, but then like a few minutes later have like a really like thoughtful conversation.
It's fair.
So obviously look forward to a lot of poo-poo pee-pee and like some cromulent discussions on Cinema Grimoire.
Absolutely. We contain multitudes.
I mean, we contain
Prismatic, if you will.
the totality of humankind. What would be some of the movies that we would be discussing over the course of this series? We have one already locked and loaded and ready to go.
We do. I'm not going to go to that first, though. I'm still voting for Queen of the Damned.
You don't even have to twist my arm. I'm ready to
Thank
go.
You. Okay.
I'm ready to watch some new metal garbage. Let's
so
go.
Bad, and I'm so fucking excited for it. That's like top of my list here. Other than that, I like a lot of vampire movies, so that's like always top of my list. So Near Dark, which I think you said you watched before.
I watched this early this year. I loved it, and I do think it's funny that there was like a quiz going around like what supernatural creature do people associate with you, and I didn't realize like I think I have actually a lot of ties with vampire stuff, so I think like that's actually a good fit for this show.
Yes. Okay. Other than Near Dark, probably The Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
Yep.
The Hunger, which I don't know if either of you know of, have seen.
I don't think I know that one.
So it's Bowie as a vampire.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
it's amazing 80s weirdness. It's like the coolest movie. I only saw it, I think, last year and loved it. So it's definitely worth watching. Other than that, I know I gave you like a whole list and my brain is just like all the movies, everything. I guess a lot of Burton stuff, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Interesting thoughts about Tim Burton there, but
I mean, I think like that would be an interesting discussion to have. I mean, because like obviously Tim Burton's known for like, oh, that's a goth aesthetic, but then like the failings of him as a person and his application of his art.
It's a specific aesthetic. It's an aesthetic that does not include me. So yeah, lots to say about his aesthetic, and I'm going to hold off for right now. Other than Burton stuff.
We also have what's on your shirt right here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror is definitely on there. Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Okay, yes.
Which is pure trash, and I need to see your reactions when we watch this.
And I did happen to find the list that you gave me the other day on my letterbox.
Yes, I made some weird choices here. I don't know what the hell I was doing.
I was like, what? This was weeks ago. I don't even remember.
You know what? This was another life, honestly, at this point.
A lot's happened in those.
It's been busy, okay?
That is very fair. One movie that I've been wanting to watch for a while, I'm talking about it with the house lately, Della Morte Dell'Amore, a.k.a. Cemetery Man.
Okay, yeah.
This also comes out about the same time as the movie that we'll be discussing for the first official episode, 1995. And it's about a young man who lives in a cemetery. He's as the caretaker, and it was only his groundskeeper for company. And people just think he's a strange, eccentric man who collects phone books because he considers them classical literature. That shouldn't be discarded so absent-mindedly. But unknown to everyone in the town is that he actually protects his town because every night the dead come to life. Basically, whenever a new body is interred in his cemetery, a week later the body's reanimated. He has to kill them, and he sort of goes about this hand-to-mouth life, fighting off the zombies, sort of like having like this thankless job. But then after, like, he kind of falls in with this widow who has to bury her husband, and that's when things start to spiral out of control. When the husband comes back to life and really starts to mess up his whole operation, and it's very stylish, and it's based off an Italian paranormal horror comic, Dylan Dog.
Oh, okay, that I have heard of. That actually sounds really cool.
So I have like a Blu-ray like all like queued up on like my wish list. So like I'm just waiting if I'm gonna let someone get that for my Christmas, or just like fuck it, I need to get this now.
Trying to look at this list and see what else is on there.
Like you said, there's quite a few vampire movies on there.
There's mostly vampire movies on there. I had a theme and I stuck with it.
Which like is fair, because like Near Dark kind of alongside Lost Boys kind of like reinvigorated vampires and like mainstream pop culture.
Yeah.
Which like, because like obviously Lost Boys is pretty well known, but I think even Near Dark preceded it.
Near Dark, they came out almost around the same time. I know it was within like a couple of months of each other, I think.
Yeah.
And there was like a whole controversy because they, basically said Near Dark was riding the Lost Boys' coattails, because I think they pushed the Lost Boys up.
Yeah.
And I know it's sacrilege. It's a better movie. Like, Near Dark is a better movie than The Lost Boys. I like The Lost Boys more. Mm-hmm. Near Dark is a better movie.
To me, it's a lot of fun. There's some just like really cool like vampire stuff, some really cool action, and like a resolution is reached without getting spoilers in the movie. It's like, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And this kind of being like a new starting point for like vampires in pop culture.
And I mean, if you don't watch it for anything else, you watch it for the truck stop scene.
Yes. That is iconic.
It's amazing. That sold me on the whole movie. So that's worth it. That's worth watching alone. Other than that, I think we covered most of them. Sweeney Todd's on here, which
I've never seen.
I've seen.
It's okay.
I love how like we got to talk about the movies and they're all like, oh, they're kind of mid. But like I think this is a cool vehicle to like, for at least for me, like there's a lot of like big horror movies that like I've never seen. Like I've never seen The Lost Boys. This is such a well-known movie. Whatever you think about it, like it's very popular. I've never seen it. And I think like this will be a good excuse to check these movies out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know Tim Burton, wiggity woo. Sleepy Hollow still kind of slaps.
Sleepy Hollow does slap. I'm not gonna lie. It's a great movie.
The only thing I remember from that movie is creepy ass Christopher Walken. Like legit scared me when I was a little kid.
Fair. Terrifying, and that with the teeth.
The fangs.
Yeah, like that. Like legit made me lose sleep.
And then when he like makes out with what's her name in the end and like bites her mouth.
Oh God, yeah.
That specifically, I was like, little me did not love that.
All I think of when I think of that movie is when he's chopping the tree for the first time and just shoots blood into his face.
Yeah, the tree that's got like human gunk in it.
Yeah.
Like Queen of the Damned is such a meme in this house. Like this is a new metal house. New metal never died in this household. I am so pumped for that, because I remember when that movie came out, all my little redneck goth Wiccan friends were just freaking out.
Yeah, when it came out, I was in high school. I want to say it was like 15. Came out around my birthday, and we had a three screen movie theater because it's the backwoods, and we didn't get it. And I pitched an absolute fit. I got the soundtrack. And the soundtrack is amazing.
In fact, let's look it up while we're here.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's a lot on that soundtrack. There's an abundance of corn.
Hell yes.
There's a lot of John
Unironically,
Davis.
yes.
All right, so Joe has a track list for the Queen of the Damned soundtrack. Take us through those listings.
Okay, number 1, Not Meant for Me, Wayne Static from Static X.
R.I.P.
Forsaken, David Draymond. System, Chester Bennington.
R.I.P.
Change in the House of Flies, Deftones. Fuck Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Papa Roach song, a couple bands.
Just stop giving a shit.
It's like, oh, this is interesting.
Well, like one of them's like Jay Gordon. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there's definitely some people who are just, they don't exist anymore.
Jay Gordon was from what, Orgy?
I think so. And the fact that I have any knowledge of this, I'm just like, why do I dedicate brain cells to this? Down with the Sickness. The best domestic abuse solo of all time. God, when I heard it described that way, I was like, I cannot look at the song the same again.
It's not inaccurate.
Another Static X song. I mean, I'm just saying, yeah, this kind of slaps.
I mean, I definitely want to do another new metal retrospective where like tier list new metal soundtracks.
Oh, God.
Because Scorpion King is up there.
Isn't there just a lot of Godsmack on there?
Let's see. Because if that's the case, then no, that's not a good.
Because like I Stand Alone was from that.
Oh God, yeah.
Because the video is like 6 minutes long or some shit. And it's got like there's a whole intro. He gets like a scorpion mark. It's the most ridiculous shit on the planet.
Okay, so I'm looking at it, and it's a lot of like it's either like the best songs by shit bands or like the most mid songs by great bands.
That tracks.
So like there's like I Stand Alone, Godsmack. There's a Drowning Pool song no one's ever heard of. Hoobastank.
Holy shit. Wait, what Hoobastank song?
Losing My Grip.
I don't even remember that one.
No.
Nickelback's on here.
Oh, God damn it.
I would shit my pants if it's like The Reason was on this song. It sounds right. For some reason.
Actually, I take that back. This is all pretty just mid to garbage.
This sounds really bad.
Yeah, there's a System of a Down song, which it's like from Steal This Album. POD.
No.
Creed. I've never even heard of that Creed song.
What song?
Wow, not a true Creed fan.
Fuck off. To Whom It May Concern.
Oh, I have no fucking clue. Yeah.
There is a part of me that like kind of lives for these new metal albums where there are just people who are just utter obscurity, anonymity, just like I feel like they just made up a band to put in these albums.
That's fair.
Oh, you should hear me talk about metal and deathcore, just like the numerous fucking just D tier bands that no one remembers, but Pepperidge Farm remembers.
There needs to be historians in all lines of knowledge.
Do there?
I mean,
There are some things that can be forgotten, let's be real.
when the sun goes down and like all of our information is fried from the internet, we need people to write on the stone slabs the new 10 Commandments.
What?
It's just like JoJo comes down like Moses on the mountain. It's like, this is the new album of the new world.
Just hide and watch. Oh, and yes, and Jay Gordon was of Orgy.
I only remember that because I have the soundtrack and I can actually tell you which songs you skipped when you said some bands, too. That's how many times I listened to that shit.
I mean, it's an iconic soundtrack to an iconic movie.
I don't know if we're calling it iconic.
Hey,
it's something.
It's iconic in a certain frame of mind.
It's a movie.
It exists.
It is a movie. It does have pretty people in it. So,
Yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll give them that.
I do think, I guess segue, we'll discuss the movies that will be on the official first installment, is that we have elected to choose that the first installment of Cinema Grimoire we discussed the 1994 film Interview with a Vampire.
I'm so sorry for picking this.
It don't be, because like one, it's, you know, obviously it's a well-known horror movie, it's a well-known gothic movie, and plus like this comes on the heels of like the new reboot series, because like I think it'd be a good, you know, tie into that, just to compare and contrast, and just like not only the subject matter to this film, but also to the new series, you know, almost 30 years later.
Fair. The show is out and Twitter is talking. I have seen screenshots. It is explicit. It is way hornier than the movie.
I mean, I'm sure back in the day that people were just like, they're getting their whistles wet to the homoerotic overtones. And even then it's like, wow, this was not as gay as I thought it was. Not to give too
No.
much away.
No, yeah. I'll give you that.
But it's more gay than the average 90s film.
True.
But how far we come in terms of just like eating well for like gay content?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is one thing I noticed even when we were watching. It's like, I thought this movie was gayer. It's kind of gay.
But like we were saying, like in the context of 94, like,
Yeah.
I mean, that
Oh,
just
yeah.
was unheard of. So like any little bit of gay stands out more than, like,
No, I know what you mean, though. It's like, comparatively, like, the bar has been moved.
yeah.
That'd be part of the discussion too, is just like what's happened since 94 in terms of just like general pop culture, like what constitutes goth and all that in the 90s, and then like
Yeah.
what would constitute goth today. It's like is goth still a thing, quote, or like how's the needle move in the last 30 years? I think that'd be an interesting discussion, which is all part of the weird mishmash ball of this new show. Just like it's a lot of fun just to make different new things, and this being kind of like the first new thing on the big new thing. So like I'm very excited to see where this goes, and also very excited to see a new podcaster up on the
Yay!
field, ready to go and show the world all the cool things that they have, all the cool points of view and things that they have to say.
I don't know about cool, but I have opinions.
But don't worry, we're still going to have a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of goth, a lot of gay, and a whole lot of fun in between.
I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
So that's kind of the heads and tails of episode 0. We're just going to set it out there. Let us know what you think, and stay tuned. We'll be back to discuss the first official installment of Cinema Grimoire, and that is with Interview with a Vampire. So stay tuned. Check out your feeds. We'll have something new coming out to you very soon, along with a whole lot of other news shows. So until next time, you can follow us wherever podcasts are found. That's SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're on all those places. Be sure to like, rate, use, subscribe. All those platforms helps us out, keeps us visible, and of course puts us in front of these people. And we always appreciate you when you do it. And you can follow me, Patrick, on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. John lost his name.
My name is Joe. You can follow me on Twitter at JONIABUAD24 and John Owens112 on the Letterboxd.
And I'm Ash. You can follow me on Twitter at FlirtGirlBlue, or on Instagram or Facebook at Glam and Ghoulish. It's where I sell jewelry.
Please check out their jewelry, great handmade jewelry, very skilled, very talented. And we'll have a link to all of our socials, including the jewelry shop, in the description of this episode. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll be talking to you very soon with some great goth goodness. Talk to you soon.